Hello and welcome again to yet another episode from Shogun Auto House. As always, I'm your host Greg, and today it brings me great pleasure to introduce to you to one of the hottest crossover SUVs in the Malaysian market, the 2022 Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid. This, ladies and gentlemen, is top of the line. We're going to see what makes people go crazy about this car, and in the process, maybe, just maybe, help a few of you all decide if this is a yay or a nay. Now, this Corolla Cross that we see here, this is actually a crossover SUV. It's derived from the very famous Toyota Corolla sedan, and seeing that the current market globally is trending towards SUV, hence you are seeing more of these kind of crossovers coming along. Now, since its launch in Malaysia, it started off as a CBU. It's now a CKD, a completely knocked down, meaning it's built here. It's been a massive hit. People have been lining up. The waiting times stretch from anywhere between 3 to 6 months, and in fact, up to 8 months in some cases. And believe it or not, this is actually a C-segment SUV. Now, you would think that its direct competitors would be the likes of, a Honda CR-V, maybe an X70, but no. Ironically, this guy's direct competitor is actually a Honda HR-V, guys, which is a B-segment SUV. But hey, enough about this. Let's dive right in. Starting off with the front fascia of the car, we're going to look at the bumper. First thing we're going to notice is the aggressive, fierce look that Toyota has instilled in this car. As you can see, the grills themselves are very honeycomb inspired, and on top of that, it's also finished with dual tones. It's got chrome finishing on the top, and on the bottom, as you can see, the diffusers are also dual tone colored finishes, which is silver and black. Now, one thing that I really like about the grille itself, apart from its massive, fierce look, is the emblem. As you can see, the emblem is a special blue on it. This is to indicate the hybrid status of the car. Moving over to the lights, this car is equipped with bi-LEDs, with also the little blue strip there that is again to indicate the hybrid. And it also comes with a follow me home light system. Very practical. On top of that, it also comes with automatic high beam, which is yet another practical feature. However, one thing that I cannot quite understand, this car comes with manual leveling headlamps. I mean, with everything that's provided with the car, it would make sense for it to come in an automatic form rather than manual. Toyota, apa lah weh. Looking over at the LED daytime running lamps. Yes, this has now become a very common safety feature for most cars. This one is not an exception either. This car comes with a strip LED that comes with a curtain light format. Looks great. I would say beautiful, actually. Moving a little bit below to the bottom of the car, you're going to see the fog lamps. And I'm happy to say, finally, ladies and gentlemen, we have an integration of LED lights all the way from the fog lamps to the main headlamps. Everything is LED. Aside from this, the parking sensors come standard, 2 on the front. And the one feature that we don't see in very many cars, but it is making headways as well, would be the front camera. This is very useful for some of the safety features that are attached with this car. We'll be discussing about those features a little bit later into the video. Scooting over to the rims, we're going to notice that this Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid comes with a 10-spoke dual-tone designed alloy rims. The rim size for the tires to be wrapped around in is size 225/50 rim 18. The braking system for these 4 tires would be ventilated brake disc for the fronts and solid brake disc for the rear. Now, of course, the saying goes, bigger may be better, but also remember that applies the same when it comes down to the cost of replacing these tires. Expect a bigger price for each tire's replacement. Moving over to the side profile of the car, first thing that's going to hit you, the cladding. These will be the plastic claddings that wrap around the wheel arches as well as the lower side skirts of the car. On top of that, being an SUV with a raised height, you got to have some of those SUV-like feel. So you've got roof rails on the side, very useful, standard with this car. It is wrapped around in chrome for the window trims. When you look at the wing mirrors, first thing we're going to see is that the wing mirrors are not mounted to the pillars, but rather to the door. They are LED integrated lamps included in them. It's also auto fold, and one extra feature in this, of course, feature that's coming up with most cars would be the blind spot camera, which also doubles up as a camera 360. Again, features we will talk about later along the video. From the front, it looks fierce. Let's look at it from the rear. I don't know if I want to call this fierce. Seems shapely, looks a little slitty kind of thing. To me, it seems rather simple, but it makes its point. It's a hybrid, see? Hybrid. And of course, Toyota has again placed the blue essence on its logo. It comes fitted with a spoiler, and of course, there's a camera on the back for obvious safety features. Lights, fully LEDs. You've got the fog lamp that is also LED, thank goodness for that. Guys, just a public safety announcement. Please do not use your fog lamps if you don't need to use them. They are annoying. Going down to the bottom part of the bumper, again, you've got dual tone diffuser set colors. You've got the black cladding and you've got the body colored diffuser at the bottom. It's just a single exhaust, so no double exhaust, guys. Sorry about that. In general, this car does not have a body kit. You got to put your own. Finally, the boot. Let's see what this boot has. Kick sensor, that's one. Automatic. Don't want that? Let's just open it. Yep. And three, guys. All I did was press a button. Space-wise, as we can see, not an issue. Toyota has provided 440 liters worth of space. Decent. I wish there was more, but I'm not complaining. You've got space to actually make the boot expandable in that sense, or to cover it. The boot covers themselves, quality finishing is decent. Here's one thing I don't really like. They're still using freaking temporary tires. Come on, apa lah weh Toyota. What's temporary tires, my guys? Use a full-size tire. And of course, to close it, I'll just close it with a button. I don't really need hands for that, just a finger. Let's move over to the engine section of the car. If you remember, I mentioned this car being a hybrid, it has two separate engines. Gasoline engine is a 1.8 liter Atkinson cycle engine. If you think this is familiar, you would have found this in the Prius. So we have an Atkinson cycle engine. It's an inline 4-cylinder DOHC engine, dual overhead cam. Now, this engine is coupled with an electric engine, and that is also coupled with a nickel metal hybrid battery. Combined together, it produces 139 horsepower and 172 Newton meters of torque. So quite clearly, power is not an issue. The transmission that drives this car is an eCVT. Silky smooth changes, you don't feel any jerk, everything just goes in motion. Fluid is all I gotta say. Coming back towards the engine bay itself, here are my thoughts. The bay is huge, but while it's huge, it's got a very big heavy cover. It is insulated, but what I still bloody well do not like is the fact that they are using this stick to hold it up. Come on guys, you're paying 140,000. The least you could expect are some hydraulic arms, not a stick. But that aside, looking at the engine itself, it's big. You've got the gasoline engine here and you have the electric engine right beside it. While it does look large with a lot of components attached, there is still decent working room. The radiator is a little bit on the small side. It's actually a little bit smaller than the conventional one, but it's fantastic. Right, now let's talk speed. How fast can this baby go? I'll tell you, 195 kilometers per hour. That's what's claimed. How much faster, how much slower? I can't say. That's on you guys. In terms of the 0 to 100 kilometers per hour, you'll get about 11.5 seconds. Although I am more inclined to believe that those numbers can be better. In terms of the fuel efficiency, Toyota has claimed a combined efficiency test of 4.3 liters for every 100 kilometers. Now, of course, this is based on ideal driving scenarios. Let's face it, guys, driving daily is not ideal. You're going to have different scenarios for different days, different time. On real world estimates, you might get maybe about, I would say, 5.5, 6 liters for 100 kilometers, based on a tank of 37 liters, which is what this car comes with. Same size that you'll find in an Axia or maybe a Saga. You can get a general range of maybe about 600 to 700 kilometers, which is not bad, considering this is a 1.8 that consumes fuel like a 1.3. Numbers are numbers. I'm happy with those kind of numbers if it's me. As you can see, folks, we are now inside the Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid, and we are going to kickstart things with the plethora of safety features that comes with this car. Starting off, it's Toyota's safety sense. That's one of their pride and joy for this car. It's very well raved about. And with that Toyota safety sense comes about other features such as pre-collision system. That's where you saw that little camera in the front. That's what the camera is for. And you've also got lane departure alert with some steering assist. You have dynamic radar cruise control. Just when you think cruise control cannot get any more advanced, it can. Now also, it does come with lane assist tracking. So if you deviate a little bit off your lane, you're going to have that little thing on your dashboard beep to warn you to pull you back. And of course, life's not complete without blind spot monitoring for a car like this. This car comes equipped with that. You've also got rear cross traffic alert. That's a good system. And coming down to the airbag count, most cars these days are no longer opting just for a couple of airbags. They're trying to outdo one another. Toyota has decided to also be in that league. They are offering 7 airbags in this car, including the driver's knee airbag. So that's a good feature. Protect your knees while you can, guys. And of course, it comes with the standard vehicle traction control. You've got ABS, you've got VSC, you've got electronic brake distribution, you've got brake assist, so braking is not an issue. You've got hill start assist, so you never have to worry about a car going back down the hill when you want it to go up instead. Of course, on top of these systems, you've also got ones like the emergency brake signal, you've got the driver start control, and you've also got tire pressure monitoring system. Now, here's one feature that I really like among all the safety features, right? Whenever you start the car and you want to move forward, a conventional car might have a 2-start system, but there's also now more and more cases of a 3-start system, as how we call it, meaning you press the brake, you press the push start, and you need to press the accelerator before the car actually starts up. And for those of you who already have a Corolla Cross, or you don't have it but you're considering it, here's one more safety bit you might like. If you try to depress the accelerator while you are stationary, regardless if you're in park or neutral, you're going to notice there's not going to be a response to the engine. That is one very good safety feature you have. Of course, on the added perspective, as always, you've got the front dashboard camera. This has now become a necessity rather than a luxury like how it was maybe 5 or 10 years ago. And of course, you've also got the 3D panoramic view, also known as your camera 360. Let's take a look now at the dashboard itself. Based on what we see, this is not an analog dashboard. Instead, Toyota has prepared this car with a 7-inch TFT multi-information display screen. So TFT is a little bit different from LED, not as bright or high contrast, but whatever information that's displayed is displayed with topmost clarity. So viewing and accessibility to see is not a problem at all. Moving forward towards the steering wheel, we see that Toyota has leather wrapped the wheel with high quality Nappa leather, very smooth to the touch. It comes with multifunctions as well. And on top of these multifunctions, it also comes with lane tracking assist. So that's one safety spec that is good and accessible from the wheel itself. Looking up towards the rear view mirror, as we know, one of the biggest challenges when using the rear view mirror, right, is the glare that you would get from the cars in the back. Some of their headlights, atrocious, really atrocious. But Toyota has seemingly addressed this problem by fitting in an electrochromatic rear view mirror. What this does is that it reduces the glare whenever it is detected from the car behind. This is a very neat feature, especially with those having what we call as the astigmatism. I'm also one of those, so I appreciate any efforts to reduce glare. This is one such effort. This one comes with a dual climate automatic air conditioning system, and to make things even more interesting, it has rear air conditioning vents. So air circulation is definitely by all means not really an issue. With that being said though, there are still the conventional buttons. It's not fully automatic, I would say. There's still some manual options here, but you can actually go ahead and set this into an auto mode so you keep your hands off the air conditioning system. Next, let's take a look at the infotainment system itself. For this car, Toyota has graciously provided it with a 9-inch infotainment system. Thankfully, it comes with both Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. But here's one thing I'm not too happy with, or rather a couple of things I'm not too happy with. First, there was actually an opportunity to give it that floating infotainment kind of look. Seems like Toyota has opted instead to put this big box behind it, and that gives it a very unnecessary chunky look to it. Not really what I would expect for a system like this. And the other thing that I'm not too happy is because the infotainment does have a lot of functions, and that does include that safety spec we were mentioning about earlier, that camera 360. Guys, take a look at the quality. Not really up to mark. I mean, seriously, this? Aside from that, the player is rather functional. It is going to take a little bit of time to actually get used to the player. You've got sections to, distinguish your settings. You've got another section to choose the media that you're playing. You can choose USB, you've got Bluetooth, you've got all the works that you need over here. And of course, it also allows you to make phone calls from the player itself. So all of those main functions are there. Sound is acceptable, maybe a little bit better than average, but there's again still that opportunity for improvement. Let's now take a look at the headroom, legroom aspect of it, guys. I believe a lot of y'all are wondering and curious just how spacey this car really is, right? You know how big I am, I don't need to tell you guys that again. Space-wise, as you can see, I have pretty much about maybe 3.5 inches worth of space for the headroom. Not an issue. Legroom-wise, I'm not complaining either. There is sufficient space, but as I did mention, going in might not really be a problem. Going out, I'm definitely bound to hit this. Aside from that, I don't have any complaints. The seat hugs me well enough. Everything is within my confined space, and I'm glad and I'm happy with this. Headroom in the front and the legroom as well might have been sufficient. In the back, not too bad. Now, based on where I'm seated, the front seat is configured to seat someone who's maybe about 170 centimeters. Based on that configuration, it's comfortable enough for me. The seat themselves has been dented inwards, so it does not cause any protruding of the seats themselves. So I do have enough legroom, but not very much, maybe about a couple of inches. Still sufficient. Headroom wise, just like how it is in the front, there is headroom. A little bit smaller though, maybe just about 2 inches, but still sufficient. However, if there is a taller person seated in front of me, that's where I'm going to have a problem. Now we are actually driving Corolla Cross Hybrid. First impression, ladies and gentlemen, you know that old saying, silent is golden? Yeah, you're going to get that in this car. Silent it is. The noise, vibration and harshness is actually pretty astounding in this car. I mean, I barely hear anything from the outside, and even with me accelerating, right, the engine noise level is at a minimum. It feels so smooth. I don't hear crosswinds, I don't hear anything. This is how I project the interior of a car to be when you're driving. Quiet, just how I like it. It's either that or you play music, either one. I can appreciate either. Now, moving on towards the next thing that I noticed off the bat, acceleration. When it comes down to acceleration, guys, don't let this car fool you. Acceleration is not an issue. See what I mean? It lunges. And that's not even me depressing the accelerator at its fullest. Yet, it just goes. Silky smooth, no holdbacks, no nothing. Now, moving on to another sector, which is going to be the ride comfort itself. Yes, it's a comfortable car. I can attest to that. It is. For someone of my size, the seat just barely fits me. But then again, most consumers are definitely not many from my size category. So you guys might actually find comfort in this car seat's configuration. Looking at the next aspect, a very important one, the actual handling of the car. Yes, this is an SUV, but don't let it fool you. This car handles more like a car rather than an SUV. It doesn't have that floaty feeling. It doesn't have too much body roll. So taking corners in this car, not an issue. The overall handling over roads is pretty decent. Now, the one thing I must point out though, it doesn't actually fully absorb all these, road bumps or, depressions or holes. It doesn't really do a full absorption. The handling is a little bit on the stiff side, so it does have comfort, but you are going to feel some absorption. I think if you're looking for a really fantastic one, you're going to need to be looking at some next level suspension system. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to the end of yet another review. Here's where we crunch some numbers and I tell you exactly what I think about this car. Beginning with the price. This baby here is going to set you back by about 140,000 ringgit. If you were to actually take on a loan based on an interest rate of 2.4% for 5 years, you're going to be looking at numbers of roughly about 2,300 ringgit a month. If you were to extend it to 7 years, that would be about 1,800 or so per month. And if you take on the full home run stretch of 9 years, you might be paying maybe about 1,400 to 1,500 ringgit. Now again, this is based on 2.4%. The lower the interest, the lower the repayment. The big question, is this car actually worth to consider the purchase? As a hybrid, I would say yes. It's a Toyota, guys. We know how reliable these cars can be. It is a good hybrid with good features and good value for money. Could this be a yay? Sure. Could this be a nay? Possible. Options are wide. If I were given 140,000 ringgit to choose a hybrid SUV, this would be among my top picks. With everything being said and done, what's my final rating on this car, guys? I'll tell you this baby is a solid A-. This shares its review with a few other top pick vehicles. This personally would be something that I would go for as a consumer. And with that being said, thank you so very much for joining us. Till the next time, my name is Greg. I'll see you around.